November 12th, 1984. A cold, mist-choked night in the isolated village of Raven's Hollow. Most lights are out, doors are bolted shut. But in the dense woods on the edge of town, something is happening. Something that has kept this village awake for over 40 years. Tonight, we open the dossier on the most mysterious disappearance in local history. A case with no witnesses, no struggle, and only one terrifying piece of evidence found decades later. Welcome to Midnight Files. I am your narrator, and tonight we descend into the whispers of Raven's Hollow. Imagine a town where everyone knows your name, but no one knows your secrets. Raven's Hollow was that kind of place, a quiet, tight-knit community where children played in the streets until the streetlights flickered on. But on that fateful November night, the silence became something else, something heavy, something permanent. 17-year-old Elena Vance was the heart of her family. A strata student, a volunteer at the local library, a girl who had her whole life mapped out. She was never late, she never took shortcuts. But that evening, as she finished her shift and pedaled her bicycle toward home, she vanished into the fog. She didn't just disappear, she was erased. The next morning, the village woke up to a nightmare. Her bicycle was found sitting perfectly upright in the middle of the road. No scuff marks on the asphalt, no signs of a struggle, just her red scarf folded neatly on the seat. It wasn't a crime scene, it was an exhibit. A message left by someone who wanted to be noticed, but never found. The police search was the largest in the county's history. Hundreds of volunteers combed the woods. Divers searched the freezing rivers. Bloodhounds lost the scent at the very spot where the bike stood. It was as if Elena had simply floated away. The case went cold, the headlines faded, and the village of Raven's Hollow tried to move on. But the Vance family, they couldn't. They lived in a house of shadows, waiting for a daughter who would never return. Then came the first anniversary, November 12th, 1985. The clock struck midnight. In the silence of the Vance home, the telephone rang, a crackened, static-filled line. No one spoke. There were no demands, no threats, just a melody, a haunting, mechanical tune that Elena had loved as a child, a music box. But Elena's music box had been in her room until the night she disappeared. When her parents ran to her bedroom, the shelf was empty, the music box was gone, and whoever was on the other end of that line, they had it. For 30 years, the case of Elena Vance remained a ghost story whispered in the dark corners of local taverns. The parents passed away, the house was sold, and the village grew smaller. People wanted to forget the girl with the red scarf. They wanted to believe that the evil had moved on. But the woods remember. In 2014, a hiker taking a shortcut through a particularly thick part of the forest tripped over a root. But it wasn't a root. It was the corner of a rusted metal box, half buried in the damp earth beneath an ancient oak tree. When the police opened that box, they didn't find remains. They found a museum of obsession. Inside were dozens of Polaroid photos, perfectly preserved in plastic sleeves. At first, the detectives thought they were old family photos, but then they looked closer at the dates written on the back in neat black ink. There was a photo of Elena in the library, taken from behind the bookshelves, dated 3 days before she vanished. There was a photo of her bicycle leaning against the library wall, and then the photos changed. There were pictures of her parents in their garden, taken from the tree line in 1988. There were pictures of her bedroom window, taken from the roof, dated 1995, and the most bone-chilling photo of all, a shot of her parents asleep in their own bed, taken from inside the room. The date on the back, November 12th, 1985, the night of the first phone call. The intruder hadn't just taken Elena, he had stayed, he had watched, he had been a silent guest in their home for years, hidden in the crawl spaces, moving through the shadows while they wept for their lost daughter. But where was Elena? Among the photos was a single, final image. It showed a small, wooden cabin deep in a part of the forest that doesn't appear on any map. A cabin with a single window, and behind that window, a faint silhouette of a girl in a red scarf. The photo was dated 2013. The police rushed to the location shown in the photos. They found the clearing. They found the ancient oak. But the cabin was gone. Only a patch of dead grass remained where it should have stood. No wood, no nails, no trace of a structure. To this day, the case remains unsolved. Some say the photos were a hoax, a cruel prank by a twisted mind. Others believe that the forest of Raven's Hollow is a place where time and space don't behave by our rules. But the local children still tell a story. They say that if you walk alone in the woods on a misty November night, you might hear a faint, mechanical melody. And if you look closely into the fog, you might see a flash of red. Who was the photographer? Was Elena still alive in that cabin, or was she a memory captured in a box? The files remain open, the whispers continue, and the night never forgets. What is your theory? Was this the work of a master manipulator, or something that defies explanation? Let us know in the comments. And if you value your sleep, stay out of the woods of Raven's Hollow. Thank you for listening to Midnight Files. Subscribe for more dossiers that the world tried to bury.